Hello, my name's Luke Del Paggio, and the environmental issue that I'm going to be discussing today is the impact of mining and resource extraction on Australia. Mining and resource extraction are critical industries in Australia, making major contributions to our economy and our development. Examples of resources that are extracted include coal, iron ore, gold, natural gas, and of late, more exotic minerals such as lithium and nickel, which are required for battery production. These industries are heavily regulated by both government and industry bodies. I'm using examples here from Western Australia, where I'm from. The government body is the Department of Mines, Industry Regulation and Safety, or DMIRS, and the industry body is the Chamber of Minerals and Energy of Western Australia. Despite all this regulation, there is still a significant impact on the environment. To understand the environmental impact of mining and resource extraction, first we must understand the process itself. There's the exploration phase. First, we have to find where the resources are before we can extract them. There's the extraction of the resources, the processing of the resources before they can be sold and exported, and the transportation of the resources. These processes have both a direct and indirect impact on the environment. Examples of these impacts include that on the land and marine environments themselves, the impact on habitats and ecosystems, the use and contamination of water, and air pollution and emissions. These extraction operations disrupt large areas of the Australian landscape. Large amounts of land need to be cleared. Then there needs to be blasting and excavation operations, both above ground and below ground. There's the installation of onshore and offshore extraction equipment, like that used in the oil and gas industry. And there's the building of processing facilities. In addition to this, there's a large amount of infrastructure required for the transportation of the resources. These include haul roads for trucks, railways, pipelines, and port facilities. The disruption of the landscape has an impact on habitats and biodiversity. The resource extraction activities can encroach upon the habitats of native species, including endangered species. This can result in the loss of these endangered species and ultimately affect biodiversity. Although the utmost care is given to ensure that the impact on native species is kept as low as possible through methods such as relocation and land rehabilitation, it is inevitable that there's going to be some negative impacts on the ecosystem. Another environmental impact is the use of water. The extraction and processing of minerals requires a huge amount of water. It also requires dewatering to ensure that mining operations can occur below the water table. Water is often obtained from natural ground and surface freshwater resources, which can leave them depleted and affect the availability of these water resources to the community. Wastewater can be contaminated with chemicals that are required during processing of the minerals, heavy metals, and sediments, as well as other contaminants. Wastewater is treated and contained in tailings dams like shown in the image on the right here, but it can make its way back into rivers, lakes, and groundwater reservoirs. The final environmental issue that I would like to discuss is air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. The extraction and transportation of minerals and resources is carried out using equipment powered by internal combustion engines. These engines burn diesel and emit carbon dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, and diesel particulate matter. Another contributor to air pollution is the dust produced by this mobile plant. The processing and refinement of resources also contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. Gas processing, for example, produces large quantities of carbon dioxide and methane that are released into the atmosphere. And then there are the emissions from electrical power generation. Many of the processing plants are located in isolated areas and rely on fossil fuels to produce their own electricity. An indirect impact of resource extraction is the fossil fuels that are exported and burned for electrical energy production. These are major contributors to greenhouse gas emissions and climate change. In summary, mining and resource extraction are critical industries in Australia. The industries are heavily regulated both internally and externally, and best efforts are made to keep environmental impacts as low as possible. However, some negative impact on the environment is inevitable. Thank you for your attention.